Very good evening, everyone. Today, I'll be dealing with the topic exploring Hemingway's literary landscape, a comparative analysis of The Old Man and the Sea, A Farewell to Arms, and The Sun Also Rises. So, these are my personal information. And the topic which we are going to look upon. So, I won't dive into deep into this introduction because earlier everyone like Kusum, Divya, and all they explored upon this. So the one thing I would like to share about Ernest Hemingway is he had many affairs. Like once he had the affair with a nurse, and which we can see in his novels also. Then he had three marriages, and the third marriage, the name of the wife was Martha Gellhorn. And yes, he also had served in the military, but not as a as a ambulance driver. And later, first he was rejected by the U.S. Because of his weak eyesight. So he was in charge to the Italy for as an ambulance driver. So now we'll look into the introduction of his three iconic novels. That is The Old Man and the Sea. So first, we'll go just take an overview of all the novels story. So The Old Man and the Sea is a timeless tale. Becomes and it illustrates how people fight to achieve their goal in life, but are occasionally crushed by the forces of fate. Here, there's an old man who is going on a journey for catching a fish, and when he catches a fish, there was a name Marilyn fish, which was too big, and as he catches, but when he comes to the shore, there was no fish remaining. There was only a skeleton, as he killed it with lots of struggle and all. But at the end, what he gained was nothing but a skeleton. And A Farewell to Arms is there's a protagonist, Frederick Henry, who is Frederick Henry, a novel, Hemingway's novel, Farewell to Arms, moving from a narrow sensual outlook on life to a deeper awareness and understanding of human soul and the mystery of death that he faces in this novel. He is falling in love with a nurse when he was once injured. He is falling in love with a nurse named Catherine, and there and then he then we can come across at the end that he was that Catherine was pregnant and all, but at the end he faces a fate that he was working for the Italy army, but at there he saw that he was running from the enemies, like he was escaping from the enemies. At the same time, he saw that the Italy armies were the one who were killing their people only. So he escaped from there and went to Catherine. As he was in the middle, we can see that they both were departed, and there we can see that after that situation, like the circumstance which occurred, he went to Catherine, but there also Catherine dies at the time of birth and baby and all. So there he faces fate, like we can say. The Sun Also Rises, a novel's narrator, Jake, is a journalist. Well, yes, Hemingway was also a journalist. So here in all his works, we can see his own essence of personal life. He is important due to a war journey. His friend Robert Okay, so here we'll see the theme of lost generation. The Sun Also Rises. There's a young lady, Brett, and Jack is falling in love with that girl. But later, as he was serving, Jack was serving in the war, and due to some injury, he told that he can't commit for a marriage. So Brett was the one whose marriage was fixed, whose fiance was Mike, and was about to marry him. But Brett was a type of a girl. We can say it was a time of like after World War One, the all the young generations were totally, like we can say, off their track, not knowing what to do, but they all were. So the bread was like a very flirtatious girl. And the themes in Old Man and the Sea, we can see there is a fish for 84 days. The old man is catching a fish after 84 days. Santiago remains determined to continue his fishing endeavors. His unwavering uh, perseverance is evident when he sets out alone into the sea and engages in a relentless battle with a massive marlin for 3 days and night. Like he was with struggling to like manage to bring the fish to the store to the shore. He was at the time struggling, and then mankind's relationship with nature through Santiago's solitary fishing expeditions and his interactions with the sea and its creatures. The novel highlights the interconnectedness of human and nature. Despite the inherent dangers and challenges posed by the sea, Santiago finds solace and purpose in his bond with the ocean, illustrating humanity's profound connection to the natural world. Resilience. Santiago's strength is showcased through the narrative as he confronts various trials and hardships, from enduring physical strain and yes, physical strain of the when he was like catching the fish out. At that time, his hands were also like hurting. During his struggle with Merlin to facing the relentless attacks of shark that ultimately destroys his prized catch, Santiago demonstrates an indomitable spirit and resilience in the face of misfortune. Now, when we look at the theme of farewell to arms, there is a loss and the love. The loss and love we can feel is, as we know that in the middle also they were aparted, like Catherine and Frederick, they both were aparted, and at the end also when the Frederick goes to Catherine, at that time also he loses him or her, and the futility of war. Hemingway portrays a horror of senselessness of war through vivid descriptions of battlefield scenes and the experience of the soldiers. The war grows as he witnesses the suffering and death it inflicts on both soldiers and civilians. The constant cycle of violence and destruction serves as a stark reminder of the barrenness and brutality of armed conflict. Disillusionment and alienation. Here we can see that disillusion with the world around him. All the like there was it was situation like where everybody were in the war, so the atmosphere was also like that. Nobody was like living a happy life. They all were afraid like of their, and yes, we can see that also the loss of comrades and the brutality of the government and the betrayal of his experience from society. Essence in the sun also rises. There is a lost generation, as I mentioned, because here we can see to describe the disillusioned and morally adrift youth who came of age during the World War I. Hemingway portrays characters like Jake, Barons, and Lady Brett as figurative of this generation, struggling with the existential fear and emotional detachment brought by the war. Emptiness and disenhancement. The characters engages like with the pursuit of such drinking, all the bad habits they were having, and wants to live the free life without any stress, and they have no goal at all. Despite their outward joy, there is a prevalent sense of despair and failure that underlies their action. They all know themselves, inside themselves, that they are doing something wrong. They have no goal. They have nothing to do with life. So they just keep on living their life in such ways. Cultural influence. The novel reflects the broader cultural shift of the Roaring Twenties, with its emphasis on pleasure seeking and rebellion against traditional norms. Now, looking at the Hemingway's writing style and technique, the first one is the iceberg theory, as Hiral and Kusum in the morning session have discussed about it. That what an iceberg theory, what is hidden is more than floating on the surface. It was used first when he was a journalist, reporting immediate events with a very minimalistic style. Through this technique, Hemingway lets his readers interact with the events to infer what happens later. According to him, facts floating above the surface of water, while the supporting structure and symbolism take another form out of sight. And when we look at his narrative techniques, he uses a very tilt, like we can say, tilt metaphors on often the contrast between elements of dry, rain and dryness. So here is comparing with this. He employs a simple, direct language, often favoring concert destructions over abstract conceptions. Like he uses the such situations, or we can say such simple like dialogues that can understand and can connect a human, like normal readers can connect with them, and his own experience is narrating in this. His direct dialogues. His characters are typically ordinary individuals placed in extraordinary circumstances, displaying strength and courage. Hemingway's male characters often grapples with the notion of masculinity, displaying both strength and weakness. His enduring legacy. Critics often justify Hemingway's perceived failure or limitations. There are several critics, as we know. There's always a critic, but the one who took his side, and he was that was Saul Bellow, in an effort to rescue Hemingway from his primitivism, defines the heroism of his character's grace under pressure. Influence of literature. After a significant legacy in American literature, particularly in its portrayal of masculinity, heroism, and moral themes, his limited, precise prose style has been widely praised and reproduced, though some critics note limitations in his use of language and lack of intellectual clarity. And yes, his all works are written during the 1920s and 50s, and these three are one of the most famous ones. And enduring popularity. Hemingway's popularity has endured over time, with his works remaining staples in the literature process, the continuing to be read and discussed. While his image as a public figure may fade, the themes and the characters he created are likely to remain relevant and compelling to readers. The Hemingway legacy, characterized by its exploration of fundamental human struggles and themes, ensures his enduring legacy in literary history. Okay, so we can conclude that works of Ernest Hemingway includes these three works. Resonates with timeless themes and narrative techniques that continue to captivate readers through shared themes of perseverance, resilience, love, loss, and the disillusionment of the lost generation. Hemingway dwells into the depth of human experience and complexities of existence. His unique narrative style, characterized by the iceberg theory, sharp language, and symbolic imagery, adds a layer of depth to his storylining, inviting readers to explore subtext beneath the surface. So, yes, this is all from my side. These are my references. Thank you. Now, if anyone is having a question, please.
Already, as you mentioned the time duration in your presentation, can you please explore the influence of war on the characters and the relationships?
Yes, sure. So here I have took an example that how that Catherine and Frederick, they both are as the Frederick was in war, and then Catherine was a nurse, so they both were departed due to the war. Due to the war, they both were departed. So here, yes. both are. Done.
Unnati, my question is, how does nature contribute to the overall theme of the novel?
Yes, nature contributes a lot. Like when we look at the old man and the sea, the nature is associated with it. As the old man goes for the goes for the fishing, and there he stays for that 3 days and a night with the nature itself, and there he learns a lot. He suffers a lot, and in the real life also, this the we can say, sorry, Frederick and Jack, they all were warriors. So in their real life also, in the atmosphere of we can say a war and fear and all, so that all affects a lot to the, and then all the novels are around the war only. So yes, thank you.